Hmm? Well, it is 7 o'clock, so can we make a start, please? And can I welcome everyone to the May Finance, Employment and Services Committee? Are there any apologies?
Councillor Bell.
Are there any declarations of interest? No. The minutes of the meeting on the 1st of April. Would someone like to move them or second them, or are there any
I'll propose them, Chair.
Are there any comments on them? No? Yeah, Michael. All those in favour? Thank you. Public forum. There's only John here. I think the best thing with the item that you've come for, John, is to move it forward to now, if everyone is okay with that. It's not that we want to get rid of you, John. You're quite welcome to stay to the end of the meeting if you want. But just in case you do want to get away, if everyone will approve it, I'll move it forward and we'll take it now. So can we then move to the Nature Reserve grant application? Do you want to say a few words, John, or?
Yeah, the application does speak for itself. Just to slightly update it, the company who would be doing the felling of the ash trees, CJB Tree Care, have said it will cost us £350 per day, and they think that the work they'll need to do will be 2 to 3 days. So that's just to give you more information on the job that we've got to do and have applied for help with. I think I've summarised the things we're attempting to do with the money. The survey management plan, which we would need to contract, will cost over £3,000. But as I say, it will be a vital part of our application to become a new nature reserve, and it will protect the whole of the area that we now have. Once we've got this report, Phil Riley will be able to submit an application on behalf of the Pendle Borough Council for nature reserve status for the whole area.
Anyone got any comment?
I'd just like to know how long this is likely to take. Because obviously, you're asking us for some cash, and we
yeah.
Because you've got, have you got a limited time space to do this in, or
no? Obviously, from our point of view, the sooner the better. But we will have to. The John Lamb, who's the person who's going to do this survey for us, he's a member of the Lancashire Wildlife Trust. He's ready to go when the money's approved. But then we will have to pass that on to Phil Riley, and then he will then have to complete the rest of the application and submit it. So as far as we're concerned, we can implement that straight away. And the other things, the tree felling, the work from A&G contractors to lay the base of one of the new ponds and the signage. We can get on with those once the money's been agreed.
Howard?
I think it's a very worthwhile project. I was up there, I say up there this morning, I walked through that way this morning, and I was going to say it's looking very nice. The trouble is it's also looking very dry, but there's nothing we can do about that. Certainly it's now the original pond that was there is probably now about half the size it normally should be.
Yeah.
But I think the sooner we can grant this money, the sooner the Nature Reserve can get on with the relevant work. Even if some of the work isn't going to start immediately, it can get the people lined up, and obviously the main thing is to get it formally registered and recognised as the expanded trust. So I'm happy to move that we give them the £5,000, Chair.
Anyone else? Brian?
I wanted to second that. Thank you.
You'll have to third it then. Any more comments? No? All those in favour? Thank you. There you are, John, you can have your money. Can we now move back to item 7? Oh yeah, hang on, yeah. Item 6, exclusion of the public, which just applies to the last item on the agenda, which is item 15. Yeah. So then going back again to item 7, which is the financial update, and as usual, there's the A, B, and C parts to it, and get them all together or separately, whichever you want.
Before you do that, I'll just mention a couple of things. So this is the accounts as of the year end. Hasn't been internally audited as yet. She's actually coming tomorrow. But we think it's as near as it will be. Obviously, if you look at the income and expenditure account, so the very bottom figure is what will be added to or taken from reserves at the end of the year. Obviously, there is a deficit of 97,359. But it is actually just less than that because we have made some amendments. It's 95,873. However, I know that sounds a lot, but we were actually expecting 153,000 to go out from what we carried forward from last year and the reserves that we've transferred in throughout the year. That's what they came to. So we have actually done better than we thought by just under £60,000. So that's actually a good thing. But yeah, so I just wanted to point that fact out that we have actually done better than expected, and we're not actually taking as much out of the reserves as we originally thought we would need to.
Look, yeah, that's good, and I think the reasons that the extra expenditure had to come out of reserves was one or two unexpected problems, such as the CCTV that's now gone in up Alkin Courts and other things like that. that really had to be done to try and stop the little so-and-sos
Yeah.
causing problems. And I believe they're now, having run away from there, having a bit of a go at the King George V or the Skipton Road one, whatever its official name is. So if people are wondering why their council tax goes up, one of the reasons is people who don't pay it, i.e. children who don't own houses, are one of the reasons that it's going up. But I'm happy to move the report. Are we moving them all at once?
Can if you want.
Chair, I'll move them all at once. But I'll move all three of the reports rather than move them all at once.
All three? Any more comments? No? All those in favour? Thank you.
Oh, whilst we're on the subject of finance, I do have, you may recall at the last full council meeting, we were talking about the Pendle local plan and the examination that's due to take place. And it was agreed that we would get Michael Wellock from Kirkwells to represent us at that hearing. So he's actually put together a package for us. There's 4 different days that he thinks he needs to be there. And he's actually charged for, he's just put, as well as the above days, I also estimate 2 days preparation, including meetings, physical and remote, and telephone calls and emails. So in total, he's done 6 days, £800, and it comes to a total of £4,800. So really, this is just to get the committee's authorisation to go ahead with that. The deadline for us to say that we want to be at these hearings is tomorrow. So it's at midday tomorrow.
Chair, we probably have little choice but to go with this because it's important that we get our say on the matter, and it's all right. I nearly said something I shouldn't. So I think we should approve this now, so that he can give evidence on our behalf.
Okay. As there isn't actually a budget agreed for this, because obviously the Cold Neighbourhood Plan, anything to do with that, we can actually get a government, a locality grant for. However, this is related to the Pendle local plan. However, I would suggest that we take this money out of the contingency that we put in. Obviously, that contingency line will be transferred straight to reserves. It just means that we'll transfer slightly less to reserves.
I'll second
Can
the proposal.
can I just confirm it's 6 days at £800 a day, 4,800.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll second the proposal. As Councillor Thomas has said, we do need this gentleman representing us because we need to make sure that our voice is heard at this this local hearing. So I'm happy to second.
No more comments? All those in favour? Thank you. Item 10. Revise.
9.
Cracking up, don't I? Oh, yeah. Antisocial behaviour in Alkin Courts Park.
Yeah, so this is basically for the at the last Alkin Courts working group, we did discuss doing an outreach project, or part funding along with Land Pack, and a detached outreach program, like the one they did at Jim Smart Way, for SEAG to do one in Alkincoast Park in the summer. This is for the summer. So basically, the budget that they've said is £3,000, and this would be for I think they put 2 staff members at 80 hours each over 8 weeks, 10 hours per week, 5 hours times 2 days per week. So 2 till 7 and 4 till 9 p.m. they've said. There's gazebos, incentives, snacks, refreshments, etc., resources. So that they've said is what they can provide for the £3,000. So this is just getting authorization to go ahead with this.
When the offer was made of we'll do an outreach, I didn't think, I thought SIAG were going to do, and that's what they're set up to do, surely.
It is in
Um,
addition to the other work that they do. So
Well,
they
Cha-
did
Chair,
the last one that they did get funding from Land Pack, I think,
well,
to do that.
I know they're a charity, but their last accounts showed that I may have the figures slightly wrong, but they had donations, etc., income of I think it was 226,000, and they didn't spend anywhere near that. So it's not as if they are. We give them a grant anyway, don't we? Do we? Or do
No,
we?
we
Do we not anymore? Oh, right. Well, I think if they want a gazebo, they can have one of ours.
Well, they've said that they've just estimated costs. So
Pardon?
they've just estimated the costs.
Well, whether
And they
they've
said that some may, vary.
I-
I think she just put
well,
a thing together to saying this is what we can do for the funding.
yeah. Well, it just seems that we could do it for that. We could do it ourselves.
We don't have the staff. We don't have the expertise.
Well, I'm not. I just think the implication was, that when the thing was set up, they were here to help and do things, and not, they did the outreach on, like you say, on Jim Smart Way and all the rest of it. Just seems a bit steep, this, for something that may or may not work. Certainly, I would object to us paying for a gazebo for them, because we have gazebos galore. So if they want one of our gazebo, if they want a gazebo, we'll hire them one at whatever we hire at. So we call that quits. So we've saved 400 quid there. It just seems a lot.
I think it's basically we would say that we would match fund the Land Pack funding.
So is this half of it, or is this our half of it?
I think this is our half of it, although I'm not 100% sure.
Well,
It could be that it's 1,500.
Well, I think
the 3,000.
I think we need to know if Land Pack funding is coming, and if it is, how much is it? And
They have to put a bid in. This is why they need
well,
the authorization.
yeah, but it's a bit cart before horse. I don't know.
I mean, it was discussed at the Alton Courts, and it was also discussed at the last full council meeting.
Yeah, when the offer was made by SIAG, we can do an outreach, not we can do an outreach and it'll cost you 3,000.
She did say that it would be part funded from Lampac, I think, during the meeting.
Yeah, well, that's Lampac, that's not us.
Yes, but she did mention that with those match funding.
Well, but if this is the full cost, fair dues, 1,500 quid. If this is, if this is half of the full cost, it's a bit steep.
The way I read it, it says the budget is 3,000.
Yes.
Well, the budget isn't half the cost, it's all of it.
Yes.
Yeah,
So I would assume,
accordingly.
I would assume that the total cost, whether we pay it or Lampac pay it, in total is £3,000.
Right. Well, I'm quite happy that if it's match funded, we match the funding, but I object to buying them a gazebo when we have gazebos that they can borrow.
Yes.
You know, we'll waive the rent, but you know, that will be like us. I don't know how many gazebos we've got. We must have 30 at least. You know, they can have one of our gazebos. And why can't we just have a plain one? Well, it just, yeah. I'll say no more because
I just think this is what the funding is from Lampac. And they've said this is what they can do for that funding, basically. That's what they've said. And they've just put an estimate of costs and things like that down just to show what they can offer.
yeah, but sorry, they offered, this is a bit weary. You know, this is somebody sat down and thinking, oh yeah, it's not a proper cost of what they're going to do, you know, pencils, crafting, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's all a bit airy-fairy, but on the basis that we think this is the budget for the whole thing, I'm happy that we match fund Lampac's part of it. If this is our half of it, I think we need a bit more detail of what we're getting for £3,000. I mean, you know, 2 staff members, 10 hours a week, 5 hours, 2 days. But what are they doing? What outreach work are they doing? You know, waving and saying, "Don't be naughty. Here's a bag of sweets if you
I think they had
behave."
activities and things like that. wasn't it?
Yeah, but
So it was along
this is-
similar lines. Of what
but this is what I'm sorry to labour the point. This is what they do. SIAG are supposedly set up to provide services to keep young people off the street and on the straight and narrow. That's their raison d'etre. If this is the best they can do for that, they're not. There's no detail of what sort of activities they will provide and that. So. And it's not as if they've not had time to do it. You know, it was mentioned, as you say, at the Alkin Courts meeting, which was a while ago. The full council meeting was best part of a month ago, and it's a bit the traditional thing that used to say the back of a fag packet estimate. Let's have a bit more meat on the bones. But I'm happy is the wrong word. I will move that we match fund what Lampac are putting in on the assumption that the budget for it's £3,000. So that's, you know, 1,500 quid's worth. If that's our share of it, they'll have to come back to us and say no. This is. I would have thought, you know, this is what we're going to provide. We think it would cost in total X. Landpack are going to give us Y, therefore can you match X minus Y? But it doesn't say that. It's very, as I say, back of a fag packet job.
Brian,
I think Howard's arguments are very sound, and I'll second his proposal.
any more comments?
Yes, Chair. This resources thing, pens, pencils, crafting. The lady I've just been, who I've been caring for the last 8 years, was a crafter, and it's pens, pencils, crafting. It's very ambiguous. There's a lot more to crafting. Are they going to do clay pottery? Are they doing painting, landscape, modelling? It's all they're doing is pens, pencils, paper. Are they doing paints? Are they doing clay? Are they doing papier-mâché? It's very ambiguous. Sports equipment. What sports equipment? A football, a cricket ball, cricket bat, rugby ball, tennis. Again, very ambiguous. Are they going to do weights? And then administrative. Who's going to be the administrators? Snacks and refreshments. Is it just a bottle of pop and a packet of crisps and a sandwich from the supermarket? It's as Councillor Thomas has said, very ambiguous. We need a lot more meat on the bone to be able to consider the weight of the amount of money that we're giving them. So I would like to see a bigger explanation. It is very bland, this proposal here, very bland. It just gives us the matchstick drawing. There's no flesh. But that's what we need.
Okay, well, yeah. Go on, Michael.
I agree, it's very thin on detail, not just about cost, but about activities and also age range. What sort of age range are we talking about?
It's the same, it'll be the same age range that,
Because we're talking about going up till 9 o'clock at night, aren't we, at one point?
Yeah.
So what sort of activities would keep? You're going to want more than crafting and painting at that time.
I've only got a couple of words to say on it. I think we've got to do something, and we've got to put something in place, and it probably will cost some money at the end of the day to put something in place to do something. But what I think, and it's only what I think, is the type of activities that they are suggesting providing, I do not think will detract the people who are going up Alkin Courts Park, causing all the antisocial behaviour. I do not think that type of activities will draw them away from it. Now, I might be wrong, and I could be proved to be wrong, but I don't think they will. But I do think we've got to do something. So, Howard's moved that. Just say again what you're moving.
That we match fund Landpack. Sorry, there's that many flipping acronyms floating around. That we match fund that, but meanwhile we want to see more detail of what it is that they're funding. And we don't, if they want a gazebo, we've got plenty to lend. We were skipping.
So basically, You're approving it in principle, subject to it being match funded. Yeah. Yeah. Well, there were more fires again last night up there. And I think, I don't know how we'll achieve it, but I think we need to talk the police into getting off the backsides and doing something about it as well, because they need to be involved in this. And they're not, because when we report it or Joe Public reports it, they don't even answer us. We don't even get a report back. We get nothing. And that is going to have to change for anything to come of it. I know that the police officers we've got are doing the best they can with the resources they've got. It's just their main problem is there ain't enough of them. They just don't have the resources to put the manpower into it. And in a sense, I feel sorry for them because there ain't enough of them and they get blamed for not being everywhere, and they can't be everywhere when there's only half as many as there should be. But that needs to change. Anyway, Howard's moved it. It's seconded. Those in favour? Thank you. Item 10. Revised loan repayment calculations.
Yes, this was obviously because at the last full council meeting, it was agreed to round the 230 up to 250 in order to get some money to do something with the wall at the Secret Garden and Alkincoats. Now, it was just to highlight that obviously if we add that in, it then becomes less viable and is just near to the cost that it was before just doing the two. Because it means that we have to do it over a longer period of time. And basically just that 1 year from doing it over 12 years to doing it over 13, it increases your interest rate. Whereas if you did it over 12, it would reduce it. It's just that it seems to be that sticking point where they suddenly increase the rates. I mean, what we could do is put more money in ourselves. Which would obviously mean that the interest is reduced.
Well, if you look on the Public Works Loan Board scales, that is exactly what it does do. Every time you sort of get to a milestone with the number of years, the interest rate per year goes up. So if the longer term you want it for, the more interest you pay anyway.
Yeah.
For instance, if you wanted a loan over 5 years, the interest rate would be a lot cheaper than if you went for one over 15 or 20 years. And that's how their thing works. And obviously, the 12 grand must be just at the tipping point. Yeah. The 12 year.
The 12 year, yeah.
Because that's how their loan rates do work.
If we're talking about putting some more money in, what sort of figure would that be?
Well, we said we are going to put 40 in anyway. I think in order to get it under the 13 years, I think we would have to put either another 15 or 20 in.
Well, it should be not far off working out that if you put the original 40 in, the figure it'll work, that'll make it work out to come
Let's take it back to two.
to 12 is roughly 1 year's payments, isn't it? That's roughly what it'll come to.
Logic says it's 20 because we've put the extra 20 in. So
Yeah,
it won't be exactly that, but
but
No.
it'll be, yeah.
near enough.
No, if you're going to pay it off in 12 instead of paying it off in 13,
Yeah.
it's going to be roughly a year's payment. And I think
yes.
that's, is it about 15 grand, Steve? Without looking.
Well, yeah, so it's
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah,
grand.
yeah.
And it's whether you want to do that. And save money on
On the
interest.
original one, over 12 years, how much difference is there in the monthly, well, they are yearly payments, aren't they? Are they?
Yeah, half yearly.
How much difference is there between the half yearly payment on the 12-year one and the 13-year one?
I just did it so that we could afford the capital repayments from the income that we were getting. So if they were near the 9,900 or 9,800, and the nearest one I could get it to was this 961538, which meant that we had to take it over 13 years. Because any less than that, it took it over 10 grand.
A year? Or half a year?
Half a year.
So over the 12, let me get my head around this. Over the 12 years, it's only going to cost us about 2 grand a year more to pay it off in 12 years as opposed to 13.
Yeah.
Well, for the sake of 2 grand a year coming from somewhere out of this budget, I don't think it's worth paying all the extra interest we've got to pay if we run it to 13 years. Not if there's only 2 grand difference between the payments.
Which I can't remember what it was on the other sheet.
It was a similar payment because it was worked on the same income thing, but it was obviously 20 grand less, and it meant we could do it over the 12 years. The actual total interest was something like 74,000, whereas on this it is 85,000, just over.
So there's 11 grand. In interest difference, isn't there? Plus you've got to pay the loan amount back in 12 years instead of 13 as well.
I think the difference is if we went over the 12, it'd cost us more anyway because of the interest. So we might as well all take a sharp intake of breath and squeeze in. And
it's just obviously we need to make sure that we take it from somewhere else in the budget.
Yes.
And not increase the precept, obviously, because then you've got to do the full consultation.
Yeah. I think that somewhere along the way, there must. I mean, it's either 4 budget heads at 500 or 1 at 2. There's a number of ways that it can be, less pens and paper and.
But obviously, I need to be able to show them
yeah, that we've,
where in the budget
Yes.
we're saying we can afford this, cover these payments. You
Yeah,
have to do that as part of your
but I'm sure,
submitted document.
I'm sure you'll be able to do that quite easily. There'll be somewhere in there that, save you 400 quid tonight on a gazebo. But I mean, that's the sort of thing we just need to look at. Into
Well,
that,
if you don't want to get yourself bogged down with paperwork, the easiest way might be to borrow less and take more of it out of reserves. And then you won't be paying more,
Well done. But
and you won't need to apply again then, would you?
your reserves are probably. Well, you take it from your general reserve rather than take it out of the
Mm.
specific.
Mm.
Well, considering that we thought we were going to take more out of reserves than we are doing, then probably yes, because we're nearly 60 grand better off than we thought we'd be.
Where I can't get my head around it, we just don't know the exact figure, what there is difference between doing it one way and doing it other. In the total, we've got to pay back at the end of 12 years as opposed to 13 years. My guess is it's about 24, 25 grand.
Basically, you know that if you pay another 20 grand, so 60 grand in total, that it then goes back to the 230, and then goes back to the 70 odd grand's worth of
Yes.
interest of 12 years.
Yes.
The essence of the suggestion from full council was that we need something in there because somebody very kindly knocked the wall down. So as long as the sum comes to including that, we've now got this extra 60 grand that we didn't think we had. That means we can
Or, yeah, so we
pinch 20 of that to
do the wall.
do the wall, yeah,
And not borrow. to
and
do
not
that.
borrow it as
Yes.
which is a bit more of a win-win, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'll propose that the 60. Is it 20 we need? Yes, it's 20. Is it 20 or 30? 20. Yeah, so I propose that we take the 20 that
For the wall.
we were going to borrow out of the surplus that we've made on the not made, but of the surplus that we've now got to go back into reserves, that we earmark 20 of that for this, not this project, these projects,
Yes.
and that then goes back to the original sheet we had last time. doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and then you might be able to get it to come to a balance between what your income will be from the properties and the loan payments, so that it's self-financing then, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
No more comments? No? All those in favour? Right, that's that sorted. Item 11. Should this be here, or should it be going after the exclusion? Or are you not bothered, Ron? No,
I don't think it needs to
you
be
don't think so? No,
private.
that's all right then.
Didn't involve any
No, that's all right.
any confident. I mean, when it
No,
was
it
discussed
is all
before,
above
we had
board.
all
It
the.
is all above board anyway.
Well,
So
but when it was discussed before, we were talking between the current and others. But I think knowing a bit about the ground to this. This is the sensible thing
To do.
to do, because of all the
Not knowing.
uncertainties that are in the air at the moment.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Everybody does understand, I take it, just what this is and what it entails. Yeah. Right. It's moved and seconded. Those in favour? Thank you. Town hall maintenance.
Not actually much to fill you in on. The asbestos work that we need, I think, has come to about £6,000. Yeah, but obviously we did agree that it has to be done properly, and yeah. But obviously that'll just come out of it. I thought it was going to be something around that. I probably thought it was going to be more, to be fair. But yeah, yeah. No.
The problem is when this building was built, they didn't use asbestos
No.
because it was only well, I suppose it was just becoming the miracle. It was the plastic of its time and the Bakelite of its time, but they don't kill you, which asbestos can. So the cost is immaterial. It's just got to be done.
Yes. But other than that, I don't think.
The flooring in the function room, that's been replaced.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
done.
been
If
done,
I
yeah.
don't know whether anybody's looked at it or not, it looks all right.
The last time I looked in there, it was
That horrible.
no. They've done something new that I have to go in.
Oh right, they probably just put the stuff down here. But yeah, do have a look at it on the way down.
Different colour now.
It is.
It may be all those people at Slimming World were jumping up to. Surprise! I mean, going totally off the subject, but when Liverpool won the Premiership, whenever it was, a couple of weeks ago, Liverpool University recorded seismic activity because of all the jumping up and down and what have you. So,
Where's the no more for town hall? No,
No.
no, right. Items for a future month's agenda.
Oh yeah, just to bring that back with full details of.
Unless we want it to go to full council. Only because it's earlier.
yeah, we just need it to come back with details.
Yeah,
As soon as possible.
yeah. But we need something starting and something doing before summer's gone, or it's got into school holidays, don't it?
We've a good couple of months.
Yeah,
For that.
yeah. There's plenty that will get thrown at us in a few months' time because we've just made an agreement on GM4 contract for grounds maintenance, but there's the rest of them to do later this year as well. But I'm hoping we can leave them until after Blues is over with, and then we'll have to get them sorted because we ended up on wrong-footed really last time they were done, because we got the contract. We went out to tender. We got the contracts in, and they didn't come in until after we'd set the budget, and it was the year because of inflation and all sorts. They went up a lot more than what we thought. So this time it would be ideal if we could get the costs before we set the budget.
Yeah.
Rather than doing it wrong way around, because it nearly developed into a disaster, didn't it? Because it worked out that some stuff had gone up, anything up to 20%, some of it had gone up, and we didn't know until after we'd set the budget. So we could do with getting the tenders out early rather than later, so that we don't have that problem again.
Well, Leah's back at the beginning of July, so I suggest we'll start to look at them once she's back.
But one of the worst ones is it's taken out of the equation now. That's sorted. That's done with. So.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't know. It depends what happens from week to week, doesn't it? Things change, so we don't know what will come in on agenda. So the date and time of the next meeting is the 3rd of June. Can we now exclude the public who are not here and switch off this live streaming, please? Yeah, it's go wire out.